Hello, hello, construction professionals. Welcome to the podcast where we flip the script on what it means to live, breathe, and lead construction today. In this podcast series, we unpack how great construction can really be when you lead with humanity, put people first, and drop the bullshit of the way it's always been done. Our world has changed, our conversations have changed, and it's time construction catches up. Hello, hello, professionals. Welcome to another episode, People First, Then Construction. Jonathan Sinelli here. It's an honor to have you join me again. If you haven't already, pull out your phone, take 7 to 10 seconds, give us a rating so that the conversations we have with wonderful human beings land in the laps of others that may benefit just as much. Today, I am excited to dive deep into a conversation with a human being who I truly respect, has been a role model in my life, has been a pillar, who exemplifies how when you lead with a people-centric approach, things change. See, Rob Giordano is going to unpack how he does it differently, period. I've mentioned this before, and I will mention it again. The things I talk about, the guests I have, I believe in blindly. Rob takes us down the path on how he got to where he got to, some of the key factors that led to success, like the unprecedented work ethic he's had, the constant strive and check in for balance, and the commitment to himself when he talks about the legacy he wants to leave behind. Rob leads by example. Rob gets in the trenches. He's the first guy in the room to help brainstorm, to ensure that people are happy, to truly understand the individuals in his space. Rob talks to us about how he does it, how we can get there, and how technical concrete solutions does it differently. Rob reminds us the importance of asking questions rather than jumping into solutions. He checks in, he brainstorms. How does the team want to solve this? He empowers those around him to be better. And he leaves us with the ideologies to remember, to talk to people, communicate openly, be inclusive, create succession planning, and be transparent. Rob Giordano, this is an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
You are super exciting. You're very special to me. Our relationship is deep and dynamic, and it's an honor to have you in my world, in my life. I look up to you. I respect you. You're a tremendous role model for myself and for many others around you. So I wholeheartedly mean that. Thank you for being part of the show. I'm honored and flattered.
Thank you for having me.
This is super exciting. There is so much about you, and man, we could do a whole episode just on who Rob Giordano is, how he started, where he came to be. And I mean, here's the biggest thing for me. You live, breathe, and reside physically, mentally, spiritually in the construction world. You have for most of your life. Take me into that a little bit and allow our listeners an opportunity. Who the hell are you? How'd you get into it? Like, what's your story shortly?
Yeah, I can give you a quick little elevator pitch. So essentially, I was a young kid that didn't know what I wanted to do and play hockey. So I played competitive hockey. And then once I got bored with that, school wasn't my thing. And I was out partying with my friends, as a young kid normally does. Came home, it was a Sunday. My dad's like, if you're not going to go to school, here's a pair of boots, come to work on Monday. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. He's like, oh, no, you're going to work. He brought me to this company that he works for, Luma Systems, and I was a laborer in the yard. So I started off cleaning material, servicing it. It was kind of like Lego for men. It's almost like Construct. You remember Construct?
Absolutely.
It's literally that. So it's like scaffolding that like connects together. Pretty cool stuff. So anyways, I started playing with that, cleaning it and servicing it and asking what it does. Like, how do you put this thing together? And then from there, I learned that as you put it together, it actually builds something. So I kind of fell in love with it, to be honest with you. So from a laborer, I got let go because I got a little bit slow. And then I was kind of lost because I kind of liked my job, right? So then they called back 3 months later and I went back in and I took it a lot more serious. And from there, I worked my way up from labor to operations support coordinator to a lead hand to operations manager to, from there, I went out to I went to Windsor and I helped build the casino for Luma. So I became a project manager. And then from project manager, I came home and back to Aluma, and I wanted to become into sales. I wanted to get into sales. So they kept telling me, no, you can't do sales. You don't know anything about sales. And I'm like, I know a lot about people. I'm good with people, right? So, and I truly believe that I can do sales. So they gave me an opportunity, and my opinion, and I'm sure most of my customers would say, because I took on pretty much half the customers after, that I was good at sales. So then from there, I didn't like the way they were treating my employees for the labor side. They were treating them really rude. So I decided that if I quit and I started my own business, maybe I could take a couple of the guys that were treated unfairly and we could start something. So 2 months before I got married, I rolled the dice and I started my business. And I walked out of Luma after 16 years. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6, 7 foremen met me at a bar across the street from my house, and they were like, "We're coming with you." I'm like, "I don't have any work," and they're like, "That's okay, you'll find it." And I'm like, "Okay." Next day, I picked up Bridgepoint Hospital, my first job with Verde Alliance, big company, and rest is history. I wound up I shut down Luma Systems labor department, not intentionally, just because they're not really good at what they were doing. And when I left and I took all the key people with me, we have mutual respect. We wound up working together, and they're still my biggest customer today. So no hard feelings, and we just keep helping each other. So that's my quick little elevator pitch on me.
No, there's nothing quick about that. So we're pulling the handbrake on this, because out of a young boy or a young man who was fascinated with hockey and says, I don't know what's next, as you get into construction and you literally start from the ground up. 16 years is a huge piece of the puzzle with one organization. And you evidently know from the beginning, there's something innate about me and my love for people. You then really challenge the status quo, flip the script on things, and have the courage and bravery. Like, this caught me too, right? 2 months before you get married, another big moment in life. What do? Technical Concrete Solutions, TCS, is born out of a vision to do it differently.
Sitting on my family's living room table, right? Because I still didn't have my own house. I'm literally creating this business on the living room, dining room table. Well, obviously, 90% of it had to do with the support that I had from my wife, right? So no fiance would let you leave a proper job, career, and roll the dice, right? One of her comments were, do it now. If you really want to do it now. And if we fall flat on our face, we have good families that we can always go back and we can start and retract, right? She was like, okay, let's do it. So if I didn't have the proper support system for my wife, time fiance, Melissa, then there's no way I was doing anything.
Yeah, and you said it, there's the old adage of there's only one way thing. Burn the boat. There's no going back. Burn the boat and go forward. And what happens immediately is maybe there's a vision, maybe there's something. Technical Concrete Solutions is born. And the next thing that occurs is you have a half a dozen people who say, I want in.
Yeah.
And you're wholeheartedly showing up vulnerably saying, we don't have anything yet. We don't have any work. We're not there yet. And what's the response? The response is, we still want in. Rob, we're here for you. And that what brings us together today to chat about this. This is the beauty of doing it differently. Construction doesn't have to be the traditional metrics of the way it's always been run. And that's what fascinates me about having you here today when we're talking about sustainable leadership. Like, you're a prime example of that. You don't bullshit your way through it. You don't do something, or you don't say something and then do something dramatically different.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the people that you bring around, you want to be better than you, right? I'm not nearly best at what I do. I just have the right people around me, and they inspire and lift me up. And together as a team, no difference in playing hockey. I played competitive hockey my whole life, right? And the coach used to sit there and say, "Okay, Rob, go show them the breakout drills." And I'd be the guy behind the net showing the breakout drills, leadership in the dressing room, talking to, we'd lose an important game. And I'm sitting there, guys, lift your head up, man. We played a great game. Come on. And always doing motivational speaking without knowing that you're doing it. You're kind of coaching, you're guiding. One thing too is my dad was president of Thornhill Soccer Club, right? He donated a lot of time to kids, and just so that way everybody had an equal opportunity. Did a lot of fundraisers and stuff. So having that as my idol kind of thing growing up, you're kind of looking at that like, wow, this guy is donating all this time. He could be building a career where he puts his career on hold for his kids, So you kind of see that and you're just like, wow, that's cool. So what do you think my dad did? He made me all my summers. He was like, okay, we're doing a soccer camp. You're donating your time. I'm like, all right. So now I'm a soccer camp counselor. I took a leadership and training course when I was, I think it was grade 7 going to grade 8. That whole summer, I donated my whole summer to actually like be a camp counselor for younger kids, right? So anyways, I have lots of things like that, right? To help me get.
Well, no, and that's what makes you who you are today, right? And that's what excites me because it's like, this is the Rob Giordanos of the world. I want to clone and make one of those, those little pieces of paper where they attach, and there's a whole kabillion of people because it's human beings like yourself that show up for others that make a big difference. We're talking about leadership, we're talking about construction, and we're talking about sustainability. And so that's why we're having this conversation today. I'm really intrigued now, knowing what you know and knowing what you've learned. When you hear the words sustainable leadership, what does that mean to you?
So much. So 100% every time, well, when you say that, the first thing I get goosebumps when I hear that because I get excited. Sustainable leadership is all about having the right people around you and leading by example. My work ethic speaks for itself. I mean, I grew up watching my mom, who had to drop out of school to raise her little brother because her mom passed away, and everybody, 3 boys, all hockey. She was a hockey mom, and she went back to university, back to school or college, whatever. She went back at nights, ran 3 kids, started a business, sewing in her basement to make extra money, and then started another business, kids limo transportation, won entrepreneurship of the year while raising us. I just watched that and I was just like, wow, holy smokes, man, the work ethic, right? So, and the leadership came from both of them showing us how you lead by example. You don't just tell people what to do. You can't be a dictator. You got to lead by example, right? So my team now, I would never let them do anything that I wouldn't do myself, number one. It's also looking around the room and seeing people and giving people an opportunity, not judging people by their education or by whatever. It's talking to them and getting to know the person. I tell everybody in my meetings, I say, I don't care if the janitor has an idea. I want to know. The guy that cleans my washroom, if he has an idea, on Saturday morning when he's cleaning the washroom, he's like, hey, I could make this a little bit more productive. I listen to him. It doesn't matter who you are. You listen and you absorb that idea, right? Because without people's ideas, and if you shoot them down, then like in meetings, when someone has an idea and people laugh, it's not funny, or it's not funny. Like everybody has an idea. You could take that idea and grow from it. It may be not the greatest idea, but it could lead you to a conversation that then becomes a great idea, right? So I'm a huge believer in listening to people and leading by example, right?
Wow. So it seems like sustainable leadership for you succinctly is 2 things. Leading by example. Don't ask somebody to do shit you ain't willing to do yourself. And number 2 is being curious about everything.
Right. That's right. 100%.
Wow. Like that is powerful in itself because it's so easy in a different world, or it's what occurs sometimes, say, unfortunately, I'm going to use the word purposely, unfortunately, is we human beings, some tend to sit in a cubicle and direct traffic from a cubicle. And that doesn't fucking work.
It does not work.
Right? If we've learned anything in the past several years, and this is me going on a rant, and this is my true feeling, right? It became really easy. And I'm going to talk about COVID. It became really easy to dictate in a cubicle and sit there and let's talk construction that didn't shut down. I want guys on site. I want this. I want this. Listen, man, it's really easy to sit in a nice, comfortable chair in an office that's air conditioned with coffee in front of you to say, I don't give a shit. I want guys on site. That's me slamming my fist on the desk saying, meet me on site, put a hard hat, put boots on. And if you're willing to work in these conditions without running water, without whatever it is, then high five. And if you are not, then let's have a different conversation. And that really piggybacks exactly what you're saying. Don't ask people to do things you're not willing to do yourself, and then stay curious.
Exactly.
Hey, what can we do better? Wow.
Exactly. In the scaffolding business, Jonathan, we have to stand our ground daily. Today, for instance, we are doing a roof enclosure over a school where it's a whole custom tarp system with negative air pressure because they're removing asbestos because it's an old historical house or school. And they're saying, well, we have to put our people in there to start stripping the roof. I'm like, we just need one more day to button up and make sure that everything's 100%. And then you can bring the guys in. They're like, no, the guys are today. Your guys are not allowed taking anything and working while we're in there. Nope, we're coming today. I'm like, then we're walking off a site. So I'm waiting for that phone call right now because I'm going to shut the scaffold down. You have to protect your employees. You have to protect your people. You got to stand up for what you believe in. We do digesters where we call them the shit plants, right? Where the digesters for the poo. They're like, they have to be clean. They have to be ready. clean to their standards and clean to our standards are different. I personally have went into one. I don't like it. I don't expect my people to go into it until it's 100% clean. So we lose a lot of work based on what I believe is right and what John Torres, how we run our business, right? We lose a lot of work because we want our people to be comfortable. We don't want to put them at risk, right?
I'm proud to hear that, period. Because any human being out there who hears that a company like TCS takes that kind of a stand for the people that matter, why wouldn't you want to work there? Like, I'd be signing up in a heartbeat. That's the conversation you want to have. Look, we actually give a shit. We actually give a damn. And this makes me so curious because you've been in construction your entire life. You've created monumental success in so many pivotal things. I know success is a really unique word to many people, and I'm going to use the word holistically. Success as a whole. You've done so many different things. You've created businesses. You've started businesses. You've bobbed. You've weaved. You've lived through uncertainty. What are the 1 to 2, 3 things that sort of certainly contribute to your success?
Definitely how I was raised, 100%. I'll go back to watching my mom doing her side hustle, trying to start a business in the basement while raising 3 kids, her father and her brother, right? My dad traveling all over the States for business to put food on the table. Watching that, my dad as well, same thing, watching the way that he coached never missed a game. He would fly in for the day, get on a plane the next morning, go back out to work, right? So watching that and seeing the work balance with the life and family, that's kind of one of the things that kind of made me who I am. I'm still working on myself with that. I have to find my balance sometimes. Like I go hard, and when I go hard, I sometimes put the blinders on, and it's hard, but I get it done, right? So I'm gonna say that for sure is how I was raised, and that's kind of one of my first things. The other thing is my work ethic. Obviously I got it from how I was raised and my parents and stuff. It's definitely my work ethic. I tell everybody I'll work out. I'll get anything I want whenever I want it based on my work ethic. Not because I'll do anything to get it. I will literally sit down and do the grind. I'll roll my sleeves up and I'll get it done because that's my thing. When it's in my head, I got to get it. I get it, right? That's just my personality. I don't know. I think I got it by playing sports, and you get competitive, right? You get very competitive. I'm a very competitive person, and yeah. So that, and then the third thing would be the drive that I have for my family. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want Mike to have something that they can say, holy smokes, I can't believe my parents created this for us, right? So I'm going to say that's definitely one of the things. Like every day I joke around, I'm building a building right now, and I'm like, this building's going to last. It's going to outlive me, right? It's going to outlive my kids, right? So it's one of those things that I want my kids to see and say, holy shit, daddy built this building for him, right? For his business. So stuff like that.
Well, the stuff like that is huge. I mean, those 3 factors are huge. I mean, we're talking about the work ethic, right? And so first of all, balance, which I'm really curious, and we're going to come to that in a moment. Except work ethic, I really saw the passion in your body and in your voice when you're literally saying, I'm willing to do more work than the next guy to get the job done, right? I think it was Will Smith that said it. If I'm on the treadmill, I'm going to outrun the next guy on the treadmill, and I'm going to die on the treadmill. That's the work ethic. You're not letting somebody outwork you. And you speak about legacy, which is huge, massive, right? And we're not talking financial legacy. We're talking who you are as a human being. And that's what it is. Like, that's the work balance. That's the legacy. Daddy built this, and Daddy was also there.
Yeah.
And I remember doing this with Daddy. And I remember having this conversation. Hey, kiddo, we built this building. That's awesome, right? And you can share those stories because it's very evident that those moments in time that were sort of formed who you are through transference, through the work ethic instilled by your parents, you're taking the same thing forward with your children. And that's it. I mean, it goes back to, this is so exciting and so interesting. Lead by example.
Yeah.
Listen, kids, work, right? You don't have to work selfishly or stupidly or whatever, but work hard and peel back and say, how do I balance that?
And finding your passion, right? Finding your passion. That is important.
What you do is phenomenal. You talk about work balance, life balance. How do you stay humbled? What keeps you grounded through all of this?
My family for sure, 100%. My wife especially. My wife will ground me very quickly. I am a huge believer in family. Like I cook dinner. That's my stress relief. I love to come home, turn on Andrea Bocelli or something, and just unwind with a glass of wine and cook. Right. The weekends, I try to do most of the cooking to support my wife, obviously, but also to support one of my passions that I love and unwind. And I feel like getting my son involved and my daughter involved, like waking up in the morning, it's okay, we're making pancakes, jump up on the counter, we're making pancakes together. Because I remember doing that with my family. And I remember putting chocolate chips in the pancakes, and my kids are now doing the same with me, right? All the way through, like I'm butchering. I'll buy a massive piece of meat, like for steaks, like a full round, and I'll be cutting it up and butchering it. My son's beside me. We'll watch a cooking show together. We'll plan a meal on a Saturday morning. Then I go to the store. We will go buy stuff, swing by Sluice so he can see my development. My son knows Sluice. He's sat on excavators, dozers, you name it, right? So it's kind of like, I got to go by the office and sign some checks. Christian, jump in the truck with me. Or Isabel, jump. We're going to go sign some checks. So they see the property, they see the building, and then I'm signing stuff. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to go cook because now it's family time. And then it's like, okay, daddy has to go, even if it's like a Saturday, I'm like, daddy has to go and read this contract. So I'll sit on the couch reading the contract, but I'm around them, right? I'll sit on my phone and I'll read, a contract for a job site and, or even shareholders agreements, whatever it is. I'll sit there and I'll go through everything, highlighting it. And my kids are just around me, right? The balance for me is I don't need to be 100%. We're playing soccer. When we're playing soccer, we're playing soccer. That's fine. We're playing soccer. But me just having my kids running around with me, or I'm in the pool on the phone with somebody at 8:00 at night going over a job, something like that. But my kids are swimming around me. For me, at least, there's a presence, so it makes me feel a little bit better about my balance. I'm obviously working on that, right? I work quite a bit, so I'm trying to keep that balance, right? My wife and I, we try to talk as much as possible, sit around the dinner table after dinner and talk, right? It's very important for us to eat dinner together. So that's something that my wife makes very clear. Like, we're eating at the dinner table together, right? So I don't take my food and go into my office and work, right? It's one of those things that at the dinner table, when it's dinner time, we eat dinner. Whether it's 8:00 at night, 7:00 at night, whatever time it is, we sit as a family, we eat dinner. And that's my wife, man. She keeps me grounded. She keeps me on schedule.
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. And it really illuminates the holistic approach. Hey, you're not compartmentalizing things. It's inclusiveness. Hey, Christian. Hey, Isabel. Look, we're gonna go here. I want you to be a part of this. It's inclusiveness. You're including everybody into the conversation, or into the discussion, or into the atmosphere to the best of your ability. And you're not hiding things. Like, hey, this is the work ethic. Again, now you're taking those transferences again and bringing them forward and saying, look, there's nothing wrong with working so long as it's tremendously clear on how this is going to sort of flow out. So exciting. Like, your attention to people, your passion, your inclusiveness, it is phenomenal. It is one of the key characteristics that make you who you are. I'm curious, like, doesn't it get exhausting? What about Rob? Doesn't it? What the hell for sometimes? Tell me about that.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, I have my own personal things that I like to do to kind of unwind. Like I said, cooking is one of those things where sometimes I put earphones in and I just unwind. I have a little car that I like to get in and just sometimes go up farmers roads by my house and go up and down and just kind of relax, listen to some music. I got some of my own personal things that I like to do by myself, but one of them is, I know it sounds crazy, but one of the things that I love to do the most is literally just sit there and watch my family. It's crazy, but I sit on the couch, I have a glass of wine. My son is, running around, jumping, playing, and I love it. It brings so much joy. And then my daughter doing cartwheels on the floor, watching the hockey game as a family, like stuff like that. That's why I do it, right? I grind for them, right? So same thing with my wife. Like, my wife will sit on one side of the couch, I sit on the other side. My kids are running around playing, watch the hockey game. That's what it's all about. Teaching your kids how to skate and just watching my son stick handle or my daughter doing a figure skating move. And that's what you do it for. You do it for that, right?
Wow. So, that level of observation, how does that transfer into your business life? Where else does that show up?
So when I look around at my team that I built and that helped me build, when I look around and the level of observation is literally, I'm very focused on people, making sure people are happy. I'm always making sure, oh, I don't know, let's see if we can support that person a little bit more. Or I'll throw in something like, oh, I want to get core certified. Okay, how do we get core certified? Let's get a meeting. Everybody, like every key person on the call right now, let's start brainstorming. I love brainstorming. I love listening to people, right? I love talking to old people. I love listening to people that have experience, right? I got an older partner. I love talking to him. I love hearing his stories. I love it. It kind of, I see all this and I'm just like, wow, okay, that I gotta concentrate a little bit more on this person and estimating, so make them happy. I gotta find a better process in which we could. I went ISO. It's a quality standard, right? Continuous improvements. I did that for my manufacturing plant. And as I'm doing it, I also did it for the scaffolding. We're like the only scaffold company that's ISO certified, right? And I'm like, I want it because it keeps us on our toes. It's continuously making us want to improve. It's making our processes as tight as possible to make sure that we're capitalizing. Because at the end of the day, I have 150 families that I got to make sure eat. I got to make sure, right? So when you have that, I'm going to say that stress, that burden on your shoulders, you got to make it. It's not about Rob Giordano and his family. It's about all of us. So how can we as a team succeed? How do we get the next job to keep them working? During COVID, again, like you were saying earlier, but during COVID, people were like, "Oh, you need to be on site. You got to do this. You got to do that." I'm like, "Okay, hold on. Let's talk to the people. Make sure who's comfortable. There's jobs inside. There's jobs outside. We have to make sure that the people are comfortable first. Let's shut down the office. Everybody work from home until we figure things out." Microsoft Teams saved my company. I was building a house at that time, living with my parents, so I didn't want to get my older parents sick. So I'm sitting on the dining room table, literally living through a screen, right? And then I'd say, like, I'm a social person, and after work sometimes we go for a drink with a group of people or we talk, and we didn't have that anymore. So I'd say, guys, meet me on the call at 7:30, 8 o'clock after dinner. Let's have a drink with my team, right? So I'm having a drink with my estimator, having a drink with my project managers. We're just having a quick drink, talking on the phone like it's normal, right? Because we're trying to make it as normal as possible in these crazy times, right?
And so you're really still, that's interesting and exciting. Given the uncertainty that's faced with you, you're still digging deep to find ways to connect with people. That's very special. It would have been really easy to sort of check out and say, everybody's going to understand that we can't connect because and you're saying, I don't give a shit. So what? Now what?
Yeah.
I can't physically see you and have a drink with you. So what's next?
Yeah, we do. It's every team. We have every day, every week. We have a time slot for a team's call. Still to this day, we still do it. People are back in the office. Some people are working from home. Whatever people are comfortable with, and we have a time slot where we jump on, and we're all like this talking.
This is exciting, right? You said something there too. Whatever people are comfortable with. So you really take a temperature reading on individualized sort of action plans for each person, and you talk about the importance of keeping people happy. How do you do that?
Talking to people, interacting with people, getting to know them, understand them as a person, their needs, right? It's important because at the end of the day, I only have a certain amount of bandwidth in a day. So if I can't get to everybody to talk to people, I have my key people that I talk to directly, Sandy, John Torres, all my key people, right? My brother, Dan. And I'm like, oh, Dan, since you're going there, when you talk to that person, see how they're doing, see if everything's okay over there. Sandy, since you're in the office with people, talk to them, make sure. And then they're coming home and telling me, say, hey, Rob, listen, this person's driving from Mississauga every day. Her mom's not well. Let's see if we can stay home. Stuff like that. Like, oh, okay, cool. She stay home for a couple of days a week and work from home, and then 2 days in the office. Like, I'm open to anything.
That's beautiful, right? And I'm super excited. And you can hear the tonality of my voice amplify, because that is leadership at its ultimate level. You're amplifying the output of others around you. You're not on a pedestal beating your chest saying, hey, I'm the leader. This is how it's going to work. You're actually saying to others, I trust you. I believe in you blindly. You have the autonomy to make the decisions. And I'm going to, give you the information I know and help, you allow others to contribute. Hey, you're going to see this person. John, check in with this person, right? So now you're trusting John. I trust you. and you're organically growing John's leadership abilities and those around him. So it's a huge, huge energy transference. It takes a lot for a person like yourself to run organizations successfully. And, there's a huge takeaway. I hope that the people out there listening extrapolate that. It's not about you. It's not about you, right? You're a wonderful human being, and you're a wonderful human being because of how you show up for others. And now you've really demonstrated that to say, I know something. John, I know this. I'm going to share this information with you. Please use it appropriately. And come back, and we're going to you talked about brainstorming. You say, I love brainstorming. That's super cool. How do you do that? You connect with people. Hey, man, what's your thoughts? What'd you learn? Tell me more.
Absolutely. And the same thing with decision-making, Jonathan. So one of the things that I'm a huge believer in is decision-making. I don't make the decision. Our team makes a decision. We buy into the program together. So it's not, we're doing this, guys. We're going right. No, it's, hey, guys, how do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to go right? What do you guys think? Oh, you want to go, okay, well, and we take everybody's ideas together and we make a decision. We do it for everything. And it's how I believe that we've been so strong and we've become successful based on my people. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with my people coming together as a team and saying, hey, listen, I have a great idea. We should try this. Okay. And we go and we move. And sometimes, it comes down to a late night phone call with me and Sandy or me and John Torres coming up with an idea. And we're like, hey, this is what we're doing. Let's make sure everybody's in on it. And then we go and we have our meetings, weekly meetings. Every week we talk about the week that just came and the week that's coming. Make sure that we're set up for it. My sales manager, Nick, he has his team and we sit on a call and we talk about jobs that are coming up, why we lost jobs. We want to know everything about why we lost a job to a customer, because at the end of the day, there's no more loyalty with the customers. We've noticed that. There's actually no more loyalty with employees in this construction business. It's horrible right now. It's horrible. That's one of the biggest stumbling blocks with running a business these days in construction. Loyalty. There's zero loyalty.
And that is an interesting point that I want to come to, but I also want to embrace and stay in the space of what you just mentioned for a moment. It's that collaborative approach. That's togetherness, right? That is absolutely beautiful, because look at the opposite thing that happens more times than is talked about, where there's a problem. Very common, something happens in any industry, but we're talking construction. Something happens and everybody gets in the boardroom and goes, okay, here's the problem. Here's how we're going to fix it. High five, go. Rather than saying, guys, we've got an issue. What's on your mind? How do you think we get around this? And then collaborating and collectively come up with a couple of different approaches. You've been in the industry. You've seen a bunch of things. Of course you have your ideas on how to fix it. That's natural. Your brain is programmed to do that. It's because, okay, Rob, you've been in this position before. Here's how to fix it. Here's how to put the Band-Aid on. Here's how to solution. And it takes a lot of awareness to be in that same space and go, boys, girls, we just had an issue. What's showing up for you? How do we get around this? That's a phenomenal thing to share. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I mean, and then we talk about loyalty. Like the shit that you just talked about. Who the hell doesn't want to go work for TCS? Period. Like that is, you do it differently. You do it differently.
We pride ourselves on that 100%, but loyalty in all senses. Like, I mean, I talk to all the construction companies. I know them all, right? So as you're talking to these people, they're like, oh, I can't find people. We can't find people, good people. We can find people. We just can't find great people. We have great people. We need to bring in more good people. We can grow. Now it's like I'm starting a structural steel business and miscellaneous metal. I got a 50,000 square foot warehouse that I'm building, and we're going to be in operation mid-September, I believe, and we're going to start building a team. So right off the hop, you hire the operations guy, and then from there we got to start adding layers. I'm 100% hands-on on that. I actually just interviewed somebody that was working in the yard. I like to obviously internally talk to people and try to grow people internally, right? So if they're working in the yard and there's an opportunity to get somebody that wants it to come into the office or to learn, I love to hire within, right? So that way people know that this is not a dead-end job where you come in. Lots of places. I worked at companies for a long time, and they used to post the job description. I'd be like, oh, shit, I'm going to apply for that. And then like, oh, don't apply. That's so-and-so's kids coming in. They just post that just for formality. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's so, like, I hate that. Like that, I mean, as a corporate company, I get it, right? But it was embarrassing. I wanted to,
It is embarrassing, and I'm going to interview because I don't get it, and that's why I'm here to say do it differently. That's bullshit, right? Because I'm piggybacking exactly what you just said. I've got you're the key decision maker. You're starting a business, and what the hell are you doing? You're walking the yard. You're there, walking the yard, and you're saying, "Hey, Jonathan, here's what's going on. Where are your interests? Where are your passions? How can you see yourself grow?" This is the coming back to, the giving a shit about people, the staying curious, the questioning everything you know.
yeah.
Like, that's beautiful.
Thank you. It's also because I was that person in the yard working that was overlooked. And it fucking pisses me off when you see that. And you're just like,
Right.
buddy, I'm over here. I'm more than just a guy slugging beam right now. I can do other things. Give me the opportunity, right? And, my dad always said, I could put your foot in the door. The rest is up to you. I said, Dad, just put my foot in the door. I'll kick the fucking door down, right? And he's like, okay, I'll just introduce me to someone. And still to this day, it's funny because I use that analogy with John Torres, my partner for the field stuff. I always say, give us one job to my customers. That's all I say. Give us one job. Just give us one. After John Torres has done the job, you're going to be a customer for life because of how he manages the jobs. I'm telling you. And it's literally stuck like that. Give us one job. He'll kick the door down. He'll make sure everything's perfect. We're a turnkey operation. So yeah, kind of keep that going, right?
And hang on, I'm going to pull a handbrake here for anybody out there listening who, if you've picked up on it, if you haven't, I'm going to illuminate it for you. Rob Giordano has, throughout much of this conversation, been a big supporter and not only a cheerleader, but a believer in the people around him. John Torres. Hey, John, let John run the job and come back and tell me. Because you have all the faith and trust in John and or everybody else around him to say, look, go. It's not Rob Giordano. It's everybody there.
Yeah, he's the best in the industry, 100%. Same thing with my sales. Same thing with my office. Every single, I pride ourselves. We are the best. And the reason why we are is because we actually care. We actually give a shit. From everybody, right from invoicing to you name it, we give a shit. And it's hilarious. We work with people and you can just see the passion in our office. It's hilarious when you watch. You're just like, this is amazing. I'm so proud of it.
Wow. And then I want to pivot because then you talk about loyalty. So unpack loyalty with me. When you say, there's a big challenge in construction right now and it's loyalty. What do you mean by that?
Multifaceted. So customer base. So we can do 10 jobs in a row with a customer and my competitor's like, throws a stupid number in just to buy the job to kind of get us off our role that we have with this customer, let's just say, right? And it's not apples to apples. And you try to explain it to the customer, like, hold on, it's not apples to apples. It's A, B, C, and D. They're only offering you A and B. We're C and D. And, well, their number's cheaper. And then they go with them because the number's cheaper. But then they get screwed because they're like, oh, by the way, you owe us extra for C and D now. And it's like, well, you didn't do your job. There's no loyalty. Now, there is some loyalty. Don't get me wrong. We have some very loyal customers. But we find that they move around so much now, the generals and the supers and stuff. So it's hard to, at the end of the day, we are a boutique and we're different than a scaffold company. We think outside the box. We actually come up with crazy engineering ideas where another scaffold company will build a scaffold from the ground all the way up. But we'll come in, pinch and cantilever off and then build the scaffold up so we can reduce their cost. We look at ways to design and engineer things to change the scaffolding industry. Let's face it, construction hasn't changed in 60 years. It's all the same shit, right? So we're trying to be innovators to come up with new ideas, bring in new material, integrate structural stuff with scaffolding stuff for facades, so that way we can get things done quicker, faster, more efficient. So loyalty, customer-wise, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to keep the loyal customers. We do have many loyal customers, don't get me wrong, but we find that it's all about the bottom line. It's not about the service anymore. Like, we offer, in my opinion, the best service. We're turnkey. We bend over backwards for everybody, and the loyalty is not 100% there anymore like it used to be. Then there's loyalty when it comes to employees, right? Employees. I don't mind if an employee wants to seek another job or whatever, one of those things where they want to, I have a ambition to do this. I'm good with all that. But there's a loyalty factor where it's like, okay, hold on a second. I've groomed you. We've together built you into somebody because we have plans, succession plans. We've talked about it, and then you decide that you're going to pivot and take off. Where we could have offered something very similar, or if not better, if we just talk more about it. But we talk about it, but then they hold their cards to their chest because obviously they want to make their moves for them and their family, which is fine. But at the end of the day, there's ways of being loyal to your employer after you put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to training these people, where if you are going to plan on changing career paths or whatever it is, maybe you bring somebody in, you let us know, we bring somebody in, we train them properly so that way you don't leave a hole, because we're a family. TCS, we call it TCS family. When we hire people, it's like, welcome to the family. I say, welcome to TCS family. Like, we see each other more than we see our family sometimes, right? And that loyalty, like I'm the most loyal person, and I try to ask for that loyalty back. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, right? So I mean, the younger generations, I think it's all about building a resume where they would love to jump around, but that's what a good, strong company like TCS is, because you can come in as a secretary and work your way up to project management, to estimate, or whatever, because we love to hire within. We love to see what your passions are. Okay, we'll try to fit you in here.
Knowing what you know, what can we do as an industry? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, so for sure, for me as an employer, I say we need to build succession plans for people. We need to talk to people more. This is what I mean. I try to do it all the time. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, I'm always talking to people, interacting with people, building succession plans for people so that way they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because some people they just came to work to get a job, right? And then maybe it's not something that they're interested in, but people have lots of skills that you don't even know about if you don't talk to them, right? So it's one of those things. I think succession planning is a key. Also, definitely on the other side with the loyalty with the customer side, just doing what we're doing. We are trying to make customers loyal by showing them that you go to the other guys, they're going to play games. We're 100% as per contract. No hidden agendas, no nothing. We don't take the job cheap and then build up extras. This is the price. This is what you're going to get. It's like playing poker open faced, right? You put all your cards on the table. We're that kind of a company, right? We're here. That's it.
That is so heartwarming, right? Which isn't always the case, especially in construction. There's times where, you're doing something and you're like, I just don't feel right. It just doesn't smell right. It doesn't pass the sniff test. This guy's going to fuck me, right? What's the hidden agenda? I'm going to get screwed. The narrative in your head is unbelievable. And you just broke those barriers quite succinctly by saying, communicate with people. When you're inclusiveness with people and you're saying, hey, what's the succession plan look like in your world? Right? Because maybe the succession plan is, you're thinking, okay, Jonathan, you're going to be the guy that wants you can fly around the world and go and sell products. Maybe I don't want to. And how many times did that happen? Oh, we're going to put this person in a managerial role, in a service role, in a leadership role. And anybody ever check in and say, hey, Jonathan, is this what you really want to do? And you've just broken that barrier and saying, look, when you're inclusive and saying, what's your vision? Where do you want to go? And then build around that.
Yeah, I've had people say it.
That's super cool.
Job. I just want a job. I'm like, okay, if you just want a job, we got one for you. I've had people that said, I want to learn welding. Okay, I can teach you that. We have lots of people that can teach you welding. But a guy on the floor that has never welded before, you want to learn how to weld? No problem. We'll train you on that. Right? So it's one of those things. You just got to talk to people. That's it.
Connect with people. And sometimes, you get it, when you're in the same space as others, you learn the hidden messages, the black swans of the world, the things that just show up because you ask great questions, because you actually give a damn. So, thank you for sharing that. Look, I'm so curious. We've pivoted, we've navigated, we've touched on a whole bunch of awesome topics. I'm really curious. When you're talking about who you are as a human being, where you've started, where you've come from, some of the wonderful achievements that you've accomplished so far. Is there sort of like one story that really sticks in your mind that makes you smile every time you think about it?
For something that I've accomplished?
Sure, like something you've accomplished. It's just something in your construction world that makes you smile every time you think about it. There's the question. Something in your construction world that makes you smile every time you think about it.
Yeah. We do a weekly meeting with the whole sales team, scaffold team, invoicing, everything. We all jump on a Teams call, and I turn off my mic, I turn off my camera, and I just listen, and it makes me smile every time. The sales manager's talking, and then my finance manager talks, and the invoicing person talks, and the vice president jumps in, and they're all interacting, and I'm like, yes. And I sit there, and it makes me smile, because it's like, before COVID and everything, I was the guy that would sit in the mid. We called it the bullpen, right? So when I bought this building, it had all like offices. Right away, tear down all the walls, put a big table in the middle, brainstorming table, estimating department, sales, all in one room, bullpen. I want to talk to everybody. So I would come in, put my feet up on the desk, put my hands behind my head, and listen to everybody talking about jobs, what jobs we're estimating. And I would just get involved, start looking at the pages, just getting in there, right? And how we've evolved, and now I kind of just put my mic on mute and listen to everybody interact with each other. And I'm like, I love the fact that, like, I created this cool environment where everybody feels comfortable to speak and to speak their mind. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it may be bad. Hey, I don't like the fact that you guys did this, and I love that. And then I only chime in like, hold on, you're being a little bit hard. We're a team here, guys. And I'll only jump in as a referee once in a while. And I love it. And I love how they interact with each other, and they come up with solutions as a team. And I just sit there and I'm just like, yes, that to me is a sustainable business, right? That's when you know you're going to.
I'm not even in that meeting, and I'm sitting there going, yes. I'm metaphorically and air high fiving you, going, that's unbelievable. I mean, there's a perfect demonstration of psychological safety. People feel safe and appreciated for the work they do, and they give a shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we see so many times the opposite. Well, I'm not going to say shit because I don't want the accountability.
Yeah.
That makes me smile. Thank you for bringing me into that space. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. The next burning sort of question in my mind, because I'm sure, especially the last several years, you've learned a lot, you've grown a lot, you've just pivoted, as many of us have throughout the world. Where have you really got something from, a book or a movie that really resonated and stuck with you, that really impacted you?
Well, and every time, a little cheesy, but every time I watch something like Rudy or the good old fashioned Rocky, like the underdog, I'm the underdog, right? So I love the underdog story. Sometimes I'll just watch it just because I need to be lifted again, right? And it's one of those things for me where I love silly things like that people think are silly, but to me it's special, right? Because I remember when I quit my job, and I remember my sales manager that I worked for at Luma when I was going to start my business. I remember him looking at me going, "You're going to do what? You're getting married, or I'm coming to your wedding. You're never going to make it. You're going to be back here 2 months begging for your job back." And I'm like, "No, man, I'm going to do it." I'm always the underdog, right? This is Vito's son that's starting in the yard, the underdog, right? Next thing you know what? I climbed that corporate ladder, right? Did it myself. As the underdog, right? Not being, I'm not the most studious person. I didn't have great grades growing up. I wasn't inspired by the school programs or anything. I was inspired by sports, being competitive, looking and thinking outside the box, right? Like, I love that. And so being the underdog is 100%. So Rudy, Rocky, all those stories, I love it. I love it.
Wow. Thank you for that. Like, I'm smiling, Yuri, because that was a beautiful answer. And coincidentally, I'm wearing my Rocky t-shirt, one of my favorite things, and I'm talking to one of my favorite people. So that was super cool, because I get that, right? I'm a huge Rocky fan, and I'm a huge Rob Giordano fan. And for this moment in time, my worlds have just collided, and it's mind-blowing. Thank you, right? We all need that inspiration, something to look up to, something to say, fuck, it sucks today, and it ain't always going to suck.
Yeah.
So let's dig in, let's suck it up, and let's grind.
Exactly.
Wow.
The lion mentality, right? The lion mentality. Not the fastest, not the smartest in the jungle, not the strongest, but it's about his mentality, right? And people are scared of him in the jungle when he walks around.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Look, knowing what you know and the experiences you've lived through and the experiences that have yet to sort of come into your orbit, if you could share one message with young construction professionals today, what would it be?
Oh man, one? I have so many. um, don't be afraid to wear your heart on your sleeve and stand up for what you believe in, right? Right. So I know for sure that is something that I want to make them. For also, well, I have so many, Jonathan. I could talk about this for hours.
Pick another of your flavor. Like, that was awesome. Pick another one that's super important to you.
Definitely talk to people. Talk to people. It doesn't matter if you're working in a store. It doesn't matter if you're, I remember the stories. I could tell you a great story. You sit down, you're having a steak dinner with customers. You order a bottle of wine at a fancy restaurant. The sommelier or the waiter, whoever it is, comes and opens the bottle of wine, and I leaned over and I'm like, "Have you ever tried this bottle?" He's like, no, I've never tried." "Okay, get yourself a glass, have a sip, try this." So what do you mean? And I started explaining this wine. Now you got this waiter who's trying this glass of wine with you, and you're explaining, and then he's explaining, and you just have a great conversation with the waiter. And next thing you know, you go back there again, and you're like, "Hey, Rob, I remember you." And then from there, he's telling you stories, and then now our worlds have collided a little bit. Now I'm building a building, and that waiter that was at Harbor 60 that used to serve me is putting in garage doors, and he has his own little business, and he's like, "Oh shit, you inspired me when I talked to you," and stuff like that. And it's just cool to see how people kind of interpret your conversations and then how they kind of grow, right? So talk to people.
Wow. I have goosebumps. I have emotion in my body, tears in my eyes. That was a beautiful story. Like, that is the ultimate pinnacle of connecting with people. You took time out of your day, your evening, to make somebody else's day. To say, "Have you ever tried this?" "No." "Grab a glass and try it." And look at the conversation that was started around that. It's fucking huge. Fucking huge. Like, people matter. Do it differently. I'm sitting here going, my gosh, I want in. Like, and this is what, please, because anybody who has heard this today has got to hear the passion. I mean, to become part of the TCS family is a true honor and a pleasure. How do people out there in the world connect with you? Because you've shared something that is uniquely special, that doesn't happen all the time. You're talking about a construction company that does it differently, that searches for innovation, that gives a shit about people, and still builds sustainability and does it differently. Doesn't do it on the backs of other people. It does it in the footsteps with other people. We talk about inclusiveness. We talk about togetherness. We talk about connecting with people. It is the pinnacle of connection with people.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to know more about TCS, to connect with you, how do they do so?
Our website, tcsconstruction.ca. We also have tcsmanufacturing.ca as well. You can go on the website. You can literally just find me on LinkedIn and message me. I love LinkedIn. I try to look at it at least once a week. And just message. We're always looking for good people, 100%. And I appreciate the plug, Jonathan.
There's no plug about it. That comes from a place of sincerity and absolute honesty. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to have this conversation. This shapes who I am. This is the shit this is the stuff that matters in life. You're not building profits off of the people's backs. We're talking about hearts and humans first. So thank you. Thank you. It's absolute sincere. It's an honor, a pleasure. I am honored, grateful, touched to have you in the same space as me, to have you part of my world, to call you a friend. It is an absolute honor. So thank you for making the time to do this today. This is super special to me.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, that was real, raw, and authentic. It doesn't get much more personal than that. I was tremendously honest and how much that conversation moved me. You know, if 50% of the construction organizations out there did it differently, led by example, and cared the way TCS cares about its company, its projects, and its people, we would be having very different conversations. After that conversation, I don't know anybody who wouldn't want to pick up the phone and say, "I want in" when it comes to working with Rob Giordano and Technical Concrete Solutions. That's not a plug. That's me wholeheartedly saying, what a wonderful, fantastic, organization. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for joining us. If you want to know more, visit www.tcsconstruction.ca. Technical concrete solutions, doing it differently, flipping the script, and changing the landscape of the scaffolding world. It would make my day if you shared this episode with somebody who you know it will make a difference for. This is the shit that drives me. This is the stuff that makes me who I am. This is what I believe in. When we treat human beings as precious gifts, approach with curiosity rather than judgments,